You are on mute, Advish.
Let's do the right voiceover for you on mute.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, hello, people. This is the right voice for you taster by the amazing Ina Basur. She happens to be my partner in creation, and she also happens to be an amazing facilitator. And I'm thrilled to be hosting this for her. And we are actually looking forward to a class which is happening this weekend, which is a Right Voice for You masterclass. And this is a taster for what is possible with Right Voice for You. I'll just take a minute to introduce the class. So my personal experience has been fantastic with Right Voice for You. I did the class, I think, about a couple of years back, and I was writing a book at that point of time. The manuscript was like three-fourths finished, and it was lying dormant in my hard disk. I hadn't written for like 6 months, and I was bored of all the projects that I was doing on my architecture in my architectural office. And I also like doing music and stuff. So and the guitar, I was lying in my studio, and I wasn't doing anything with it. The songs I was all kind of playing were all old songs. And right after I did the class, an amazing thing happened. Was like things started shifting, and I picked up my manuscript and finished it over the next 3-4 months. I just went ahead and finished the manuscript, which is today a book, an Amazon bestseller, which is amazing. I can't believe how that happened. I joined a music school right after that, and I got to hang around with amazing musicians, and I I played with bands, and it was the most unbelievably fun experience I had. And I'm still kind of continuing music and meeting them, and it's amazing. And I shifted and changed my architectural office and started choosing all the fun projects. It's been amazing. And Ina and I have been discussing like how does one share that with the world. And this Ina stepped in and chose to become a facilitator for Right Voice for You, and I'm very happy to be hosting her tonight. So Ina, over to you.
Thank you so much. That is a true story. And it's been absolutely fun to see it in action. And it's like one of my favorite classes. But Right Voice for You, generally, even if we're not talking about the class, is one of my favorite, like in the sense of if we were all to step up and be the space and be the voice and be us and create everything that we can create and we desire to create, what would the world really be like? And the more I've chosen that in my own life and I've chosen that for me, the more I am like convinced that it's an amazing way to go. Because the funny part is like I mean, I don't know if any one of you had that experience, but like growing up, you tend to get into the sense of that, if you're being your voice, then you're supposed to be, that's supposed to be bad or wrong, or you're supposed to not speak up and not be your voice and not be heard and not be seen. Because if you are, then you get into trouble. So and so we sort of like cut off our paths and things like that. But the more I've chosen to step into the voice of me, or more even started acknowledging for me what's true for me, has really started becoming easier and more fun. Like everything, work, relationships, body, me, my life, creation, business, uh, dealing and creating with other people. So why not? Why not be your right voice for you? If it gets easier and more fun, is my point of view. So here's me inviting all of us to more of that. And I have sort of committed to the Right Voice for You classes and facilitator, because the tools are like none other. Like I have done everything that any platform that exists in the world, I have kind of dwelled in it, jumped into it, and worked with it. So, and I've been working with businesses and with creation and brand design and branding for some 20 years. So I've tried every platform, so-called platform of communication, from theater. I did theater for a while. I did I did theater in theater. I did theater, community theater on streets. I did puppetry. I did animation. I did space designs, murals, branding, package design, which is also a form of communication, exhibition designs, websites, catalogs, name it. And I've been there, done it. And when I got the tools of Right Voice for You, it was the easiest possible way to step into being more of you. And you seem like you're just hanging around, with a bunch of people who are asking for more, and you step out of there totally being different. So why not? Why not make that available to more and more people who are asking for that? So thank you so much for being here, and for I would like to acknowledge that for you guys, that you're asking for it. Like what is it that brought you here on this call? What made you hit the button and sign up? What would you, if there's anything that you can receive from this 30 minutes quickie session, what would it be? Taster, what would it be?
I've got a question. If so, uh, so like when I look at my last class that I'd done, which I was talking about in the introduction, there were so many things that I had like kind of thought of doing and kind of had the urge to do and stuff like that, and which had been there for the last, probably a part of me as I was growing up, that I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be, doing all these things, have fun with architecture and all. And it just seems that, over the past 2 or 3 years, a lot of those things have gotten ticked. I mean, the book is in the process of kind of reaching out to people, but the book is out, and it's kind of reached out to quite a few people. And the architectural projects have kind of or as a firm or whatever, it's kind of out there. People know of the firm, people kind of this thing. So like, how do you look at what next, and how do you kind of look at, like, to reframe your viewpoint or something like that? I don't know, what is that like? Sorry.
I said that's it. I was muted. Talk about Right Voice for You. So, but it's funny because Right Voice for You doesn't always mean that you're speaking. But yeah, that's a great question. What next? What next? And as humanoids, we are always desiring to add more and always looking at adding more. But that is something that is so considered as a wrong message. You should be happy with what you have. You should be satisfied with what you've got. And you just got one ice cream and one dress, and then you want another one. But as a humanoid, you're always asking for more. So what's next is a great question. What's next? What next with life? What next with projects? What next with what else would I like to create? What else can I add to my life? And I mean, I know you, so a little bit. I know you're on to already other books, and you already have more books popping in your world, and you're already kind of looking at writing them. And I mean, thank you so much for hopping on as a host. I mean, you are an entrepreneur. You have a full-fledged architecture business with multiple projects going on. You have a book launched that is launching in multiple cities at this point, and you are creating a bunch of other stuff, which at this point I can't remember. And you are hosting me for this call. And what else?
Yeah, like.
So, would you acknowledge how cool and how awesome that is? And uh, like there's this sense of I guess what else can you add that would be fun and joyful for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a couple of things that's been showing up for me of late is stuff which otherwise I wouldn't choose because they're so big in my scheme of things that uh, they're unchoosable. I would, I'm kind of treading that kind of a ground right now where I'm looking at probably choosing stuff that's unchoosable in my frame reference point. And
Is it yours or is it someone else's, that point of view?
someone else's for sure. When you ask that, that's like, yeah,
Like how many times were you told as a kid that this is it? You don't get to choose, we're beyond this.
yeah.
And even in architecture, like how much do you, as an architect student, are told about the limitations of architecture? Like I know, I mean, I'm lucky enough to have you in my life, and the get to play with spaces and design spaces, even though I didn't go to it, get an educational training about architecture. But I guess that's like you find ways to create it, right? So I mean, I've looking at all the seminars and like the people and the architects that I get to hang with, there's so much of this space of that architecture, there's so many limitations. Whereas if you actually just flip that around and not create from looking for the limitations but go with what's possible here. So it's not even about creating the impossible, because then you've already decided it's impossible, and then you do everything to prove that it's impossible because we have to be right. But it is like, what if it was about what are the possibilities here that I haven't even considered?
Okay.
Does that help at all?
No, that's absolutely, it's just not a new question. I've been asking it.
It is. But yeah, so I know you've been asking the stuff. So I mean, you use the question.
So what my question is, is more to do with the scale of stuff, like the scale of operations, the scale of like, like the number of lives one would touch and the number of, you know, the what your impact. The impact is probably not the right word, but how many people and how many more possibilities, or where all can you kind of reach, or so that scaling of that, whatever we are, or I'm kind of currently pursuing, like what for the books and for the, I mean, I get that's a part of kind of right voice for you as well.
And are you being it?
uh, I get in blips, not totally. Like I get a sense of it and I be it for a while, and then I tune back to the uh, kind of the, whatever is going on, like from past references and stuff. So yeah, on and off, I would say. So
So I'm going to ask you again. So when you're saying that, is it lightening up your world?
no.
It's not true for you. If it doesn't lighten up your world, it's not true for you. So truth, are you already being it?
Yeah, I am.
Can everyone sense the difference in the energy of when he's acknowledging that and the previous one? It's like we're so used to making ourselves wrong, and that's like one of the biggest gift or right voice for you is to really go beyond wronging yourself. Like if there was nothing wrong with you, of any choices that you've ever made, what would you choose? What would you create? Like the whole wrongness part of it is this big ass distraction that we have in place that keeps us from being the potency that we be, right? And it's been plugged in very nicely, very neatly, very cleanly underlying in our worlds since we were a kid, since we were freaking born, as this plug in, which is so that we don't be out of control, so that we don't be out of form, so that we don't be too much chaos, and we don't be too much. So everything that is, can we destroy and uncreate all of that? Right, wrong, goodbye, popcorn, boys and beyond. Anyone who doesn't know what I just said, that weird statement, it's the access consciousness clearing statement, and it's like a magic wand. If you would like to, it works. If you would like to know more about it, you can find out at the www.theclearingstatement.com. So it's like, it's so funny. Like, we are like so busy. We'll be being that energy, but we're so busy in the wrongness of it and judging it that we won't acknowledge it. And acknowledgement is the greatest gift. I mean, how, like, one of the things that, and I'm not saying like I'm all there, it's like work in progress, but it's a constant choice that you get to make every 10 seconds. Hey, I'm not going to go into the wrongness of me. What am I being here that I'm not acknowledging? What am I choosing here that I'm not acknowledging? What future are you creating that you haven't acknowledged? That if you did, allow them to actualize with total ease. And everything that doesn't allow that can be destroyed and uncreated all. Right, wrong, goodbye, popcorn, surprise, and beyond. If you were already like, sorry, you had a question?
No.
Does anyone else have a question?
Hi, Ina.
Hi, Sunita.
Alara. No worries. So I just had a question around getting clarity on your voice. So, you know, as you were talking to Adrish and about all the wonderful things he's already doing in the world and how much of a bigger influence he'd like to be in the world. And I know you're going to say the same stuff to me because, you know.
And to me, I say the same stuff to me every single day.
Exactly. So I know I'm doing a lot of stuff, but I'm still finding that I'm missing the me in like my voice in. Okay, that does not feel right, but there's something there, you know. There's something there. There's a little bit of me in that, but I'm still searching. It's like I'm still searching for not necessarily my place, but something. They're like, my voice is still not being expressed. It doesn't matter how many people know me. It doesn't matter what I do. I still feel like it's not being heard. Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's it. And I know I said the word feel, but yes, you know.
Yeah, and so thank you for that, because it is like, even if the world is acknowledging it and you don't acknowledge it for you, would you hear it?
No.
So would you be willing to listen to hear your voice and listen to your voice and receive your voice, even if no one else is hearing it and listening it?
Right. That whole acknowledgement piece, that's it.
And it's like, I mean, yeah, very quick, very fast, and very easy for us to acknowledge other people. But whatever that you can see in someone else is something that you can be, that you already be. If you can't see anything, what you see in others is what you can be. Anywhere, anyone. Grant, Gary, Steve Jobs, anything that you can perceive and see is something that you already be. Otherwise, you can't perceive it. You can't see it. So everything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive that, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate?
Yes.
Right, wrong, goodbye, papa, all Asha, boys and beyonds. And also what we tend to do is that we look at, because yes, we want everything yesterday. You know, I've just become a right voice for you. I mean, I was last year as well right voice for you facilitator, but I didn't do shit with it, but except kept changing stuff for me. But like the commitment, I realized that I've got to choose what will create what I know is possible. So what future that I desire to create, and so for me, right voice for you classes are not just classes and not just business. It's actually an invitation for people to be themselves and be their voice. because I can see when I allow that myself to be that, what that creates for me and everyone and the world. So I know that I know that I was totally procrastinating and not choosing it. I had a million reasons I can give you right now for not choosing it. But now it's like, okay, cool, I'm choosing it now. Now what future is creating, and get a sense of that and be committed to it. Be committed to what I know is possible. And it goes beyond just doing a class. It goes beyond just doing the doing part of it. It goes to being. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what would you like to create that you haven't chosen? What are you putting off that you can choose now? What are the 5 projects, 5 ideas that you've put off for a year, a lifetimes that you can choose now?
Many, yeah, for sure.
That if you did, will create a different future, a different possibility you know is possible. Everything that doesn't allow that, and everything that doesn't allow it to be total fun, total joy, total ease, can be destroyed and create all of that.
Yes.
Right now with bad popper, online show boys and beyonds.
It's like you just opened a door or a window to not necessarily permission for me to start creating those 5 new things or 5 things that I've been holding on to, but it's like I'm finally willing to see them and acknowledge that future is possible.
Yay!
So thank you. And I just, like when I saw this call, it's like, I have to be on the call with Ina. I just love her so much. She's like so wonderful. I love talking to you. And it's like, yes, I'll be there.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, love.
What else is possible? So if there's anything that you can receive, including me, from this session, from this 30 minutes taster, what would it be?
Hi, Ina, this is Sunita. I joined the call a little late, so I'm not sure if you've already addressed this. Nevertheless, so you just talked about, choosing right voice for you and uh, uh, choosing the master class. So how has right voice for you as a class or created for you in your life?
Thank you for that question. It has got me creating. And it has got me creating and choosing my life, a life that works for me. And if we go into the details, I was someone who, I had this sort of conflict going on in my world. Like I could be really bold and independent girl, but I was also really shy. Like I was, or maybe like lack of confidence. So even though I did all this theater and all, but if I really had to voice something that I knew or something that, like if in a classroom in school, someone asked me to, if the teacher asked a question and even knew the answer, I could not raise my hand and voice it because so it was like there was so much this thing of being rejected, not being received, not being, I think majorly not being received. And I think that's a huge gift of right voice for you because it's like, it allows you to start receiving you. And when you start receiving you, it gets easier and better. It gets easier, it gets more fun. Because you can be you, and you can be with you, and you can be fun for you. And that was like one of the main things. And also like one of the things that really lacks in this world is really what? Receiving?
Yep.
Everyone wants to gift, but very few are there to receive it. And that was like one of the main thing that really started to shift me. The willingness to receive me also started making it easier for me to receive others for whatever choices that they're making, for whatever that they can be, for whatever that they're not going to choose to be, for whatever that they will choose to be. and be willing to see what they can choose and what they're not going to choose, including myself, and have that allowance with it. And like when you're hugging someone, like I just shared a post about RD, like when you're hugging him, he totally receives you. And when you're like you can sense the difference, right, between certain hugs when you received and when it's just a, did I really want to hug this person? So start becoming like, what if we start becoming aware of what that is for us? And what if you could be that whether someone else is choosing it or not? And that really started shifting for me in the sense of that it's still shifting. That for someone else to understand me, for someone else to get me, for someone else to receive me is not required. It's not a need. So when I start choosing to receive me, I don't need for someone else to receive me, but somehow it starts shifting because I'm being that energy of receiving me. It's changing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Thank you, Puneet. Thank you, Galeen. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Cool.
Thank you, Ina. That was really light.
It's does that because it's really like we are always constantly seeking approval from other people, like parents, friends, husband, uh, team, boss. But if we don't, I think it was a switch from going from being the chosen one to being the choosing one. So if you were the choosing one, and if you were the source of your life, and if you were the source and the creator of your life, what would you voice today? What would you choose today? What would you be today? Who would you talk to? Who you wouldn't talk to? Who would you call? What would you be? Everything that allows you to perceive, know, be, and receive it, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate all? Right, wrong,
Yes.
much of boys and beyond. And once they think of that rejection, like one of the main things, actually, thank you really for that question, because one of the main things that really shifted for me was that, I would not even pick up the phone and call someone if I required something. So more than anyone else, I had the walls in my world. So when I would be like, I will get rejected. So one of the really major things that shifted for me with Right Voice for You is, and continues to do so, is the willingness to be judged, the willingness to be rejected, the willingness to be said no to. And so there's a really fun exercise in the Right Voice for You masterclass, which is that you actually go, which I'm giving you guys this challenge if you want to start playing right away. Ask at least 5 people between today and tomorrow in the next 24 hours. Ask at least 5 people for things that you think they're absolutely going to say no to you for. Whatever that might be. The idea is to receive a no. And let's see what that creates. So who are you going to ask? What are you going to ask? With the total willingness to be rejected, to be said no. So how bizarre and what bizarre ideas can you come up with and go and ask people? Who's on for this challenge? Nice. Only one person.
Yeah.
Cool. And I would love to know what it creates for you guys. Because I'm not going to tell you what every time that I've done that exercise, what's created for me. Because every class, I've done quite a few Right Voice few classes. Every class that I've done that, it has freaking changed my point of view about what I think. So please tell me what it creates for you guys. I would love to know.
Awesome.
So you have to find five people and ask them something that that you get a sense of they're going to say like a no for. Get 5 rejects, 5 no's.
Okay. I'm in.
Awesome. I mean, like, I remember like even posting on Facebook, like so many from little things to big choices in my life have changed, like with the tools of Right Voice for You, like energy flows, energy pulls. I don't, I can be aware of the energy that I'm being, am I pushing, am I pulling, what's required, what will create greater. That's an amazing tool of Right Voice for You. You start practicing the energy flows and it starts shifting and you will start seeing, hey, am I pushing? What's that creating? What, like one of the things that I really realized was like, you know, when I'm being really excited, somehow I push. Whereas in my world, I'm really excited. So I should be pulling. But that's not what it's creating. So I just becoming present with the energy that you're being and what energies can you be that will actually pull when you would like to pull and flow when you would like to flow. So that makes it so much easier because you're not in confrontation and fight all the time to be you. Like being you and being your voice is not a fight. It's not a confrontation. It's like if you were truly being, like one of the things you can start asking is, hey universe, hey body, show me what energy and what space and what consciousness, because that's what we really are. We might think that we are, you know, mean, vicious, we might be that too, but mean, vicious, you know, super cool or not cool at all, or pathetic or amazing or whatever, but we are actually energy, space and consciousness. And we have infinite
choice,
abundance available. So start asking, hey universe, show me, or ask yourself to show you what energy and what space and what consciousness are you. So what energy, what space and what consciousness can you be to be the energy, space and consciousness that you truly be. And like another great question from Access Consciousness is like, would an infinite being choose this? Like when you're choosing anything, ask, would an infinite being choose this? And are you an infinite being?
no.
Yes or no? No, not at all. Very constraint limited. There was another thing that just popped. Does anyone have any other questions before we?
I was just wondering that since this is a taster, would you like to kind of tell or kind of look at what all does the Right Voice for You entail in terms of, like what is Right Voice for You? I mean, it's almost like a similar question that Sunita had asked, but I mean, if you can just kind of expand on that slightly.
So, Right Voice for You is it's a set of tools and techniques that allow you to be the space and be your voice that you truly be. And the tools are like so. The more you choose them, the more you be them, the more you step into having that ease in your world, in your space, in your being. And like, no matter what other people are choosing, and no matter what you're choosing, you can be at ease with it. Like one of the things that, for me, the greatest gift has been to getting out of more like wrongness of me and being able to, because one of the things that really stopped me from creating was the wrongness. That was so predominant in my world. Like if I posted something on Facebook, I must be wrong. That so it gets you out of that to be willing to see, hey, okay, I've posted that on Facebook. What is that creating? So you start becoming more present with the choices that you're making and what is that creating and what is that you truly desire to create without minus the wrongness. Because every choice creates. When you choose something, it's creating something, it's giving you information of what it's creating, and you always know. So you start becoming present with it, and you can then choose different, choose the same, choose something else, whatever that you have available. And it keeps expanding what you have available. Like I never thought I could write a book. I never thought I could write. Like Audrish was the writer. I was like, I can't do this. I'm not, I don't think I can ever write. And I mean, I'm a published author. So it's like, I mean, I haven't done a great deal as Audrey, who's written a full book, but who knows? So, but I'm asking, like, what else would like to be written through me? Which was like totally not. Like, one of the gifts is you start showing up in ways that you can't even imagine. You start showing up in ways that is beyond your imagination, beyond what the defined you, beyond what you think you can be or cannot be. So you start stepping into more and more of, hey, I could do this, or I can't do it. Will I choose it anyway? Yes, okay. Let's see where it goes. So, and it goes, so one of the greatest gifts is also that you're willing to fail. You're willing to create, you're willing to fail, you're willing to succeed, you're willing to be, and so it just becomes easier and more fun. And more possibility becomes available when you're willing to be judged, willing to be rejected, willing to be failed. Funny, but it's true.
So is it also like in terms of profession, like for me, like I was in the beginning of this thing, like I was telling you my experience that, yeah, I mean, it helped me finish my book and, you know, do all the stuff, the creative stuff that we were looking at. I mean, in terms of professionals, is it for like, how is it for professionals? How is it for people as for their lives just in general? And could you just expand on that a little bit?
For yeah, it is for like anyone who has uh, it is, the more you start being your voice, you go beyond profession, because then you start seeing the limitation that profession is. Like, I've added more revenue streams, more sources of income, more possibilities, more things that actually are joyful for me in my life than I did in the past few years since I've been doing Right Voice Few classes, or any other classes for that matter, or just choosing to be my voice, really. Then I had been in the previous 10 years. So what I've created now is far more without being burnt out than what I was creating before while getting burnt out. So there's hope if you choose it. But you have to choose it. You have to choose it. You have to be willing to be your voice. You have to be willing to go, hey, this doesn't work for me, or this, what is it that I desire to create as my life? Like, one of the things that I realized was that it wasn't working for me. The morning to evening job, coming back dead tired. Well, you know, my morning to evening was till 1, 2 at night.
Yes.
Because Audrey used to come pick me up when we were dating. So it was like there was no timing. I was always working on, I would say, against deadlines. I was exhausted. My body was crying out. And I can see now, like, how much when I'm being my voice, and I also allow my body to be its voice and listen to it and listen to myself, it gets easier and more fun. Like, I'm creating far more than I was creating then when I was getting burnt out. Like, it's so much easier. And no matter what you add to your life, you know, like, there's this whole thing of if I'm doing 9 to 5 job or 9 to 10 job, I can't add anything else to my life. I mean, 9 to 5 is how many hours in a day? What are you doing for the rest of the hours? And from 9 to 5, are you living it or are you slogging it? If you're slogging it, what would it look like if you were living it? And if the rest of the hours, 9 to 5 is only 8 out of 24, the rest of the hours, what else can you add that will actually generate way more than you can imagine? And when you start choosing, that is fun and joyful. When you start choosing, like, one of the main things was that I had no idea what the future would look like and be like. I mean, I still don't, but I know the more I ask every day, what is it that I desire to create, the more information I get on what is the world that I desire to create, what is the future that I desire to create. And then the choices today become easier. Because even if they're not being so-called successful classes of 100 people, because, you know, I would like 100 people in my class, or no people in my class, has also happened. I mean, with the brilliant me, really, how does that happen? But it's like the more you start choosing and being your voice, then that doesn't matter. So because you can be the space. So when you're more interested in creating the future that you desire, then today you have way more choices. Then you're not basing it on right and wrong, good and bad. You're being present with it. Like, totally, if anyone has a question about that, because you can be the space of, hey, okay, so what future did that create? What future is that creating that I haven't acknowledged? That class that no one showed up for, but me yet choosing it and putting it out there. What did that create? What future is this call creating? What future is this call creating for each one of us and for the world that we haven't acknowledged, that if we did, will allow it to actualize with total ease? Like I was brought up in an environment where they were like, where I was told that future doesn't matter. You know, kal kisne dekha hai? Live for today and die for today. And it was like that. So I totally get the sense of it, but I totally twisted that. Like I would spend all the money that I would have and then I wouldn't have anything tomorrow. But the more I include the future, the more I get the sense of, hey, where am I heading? When I get there, whether I get there, or the world get there, or the next generation gets there, what am I gifting them? What am I gifting myself? And when you're including, then it becomes way more than just your day-to-day chores. Then it becomes a choice of creating a different possibility. So what do you know? What do you know? What can you say? What can you be? What can you choose? What can you create? Where can you go that nobody else can? That if you allowed yourself right now, right here today, will be really easy actually. Way more easy than you think it would be. Everything that is not that can be destroyed and created all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pot, all natural boys and beyonds.
Great, thank you,
Welcome. Thank you for asking. Anyone has anything else to say before we say bye-bye? Cool. So if anyone were you going to ask anything, Priyanka? No, okay. So if anyone has, we also have like a Just Voice It challenge going on with the Right Voice for You on FB. And if you would like to join us, it's all the Right Voice for You masterclass facilitators who are giving daily tools and tips, their favorite tools and stuff for us to start asking and choosing. And that's fun for you. I've shared the link in the thing. And then there's the masterclass. Actually, we'll mail you guys. And there's the masterclass there are lots of masterclass all over the world. You can find them on www.rightvoiceforyou.com. And there are lots of actually intro classes as well as master classes, if that works for you. I'm doing one in Delhi from 16 to 18th. And how did I get so lucky to have Audrish host me? How does it get any better? The third thing is that there's a facilitator's Right Voice for You. If you are interested in actually seeing other people be their voice, if you desire for others and yourself to facilitate others to step into being more of themselves in their voice, then there is the Right Voice for You facilitator class that's coming up in Rome from 23rd to 25th March. And all the BFs and the bar facilitators and bars practitioners can attend it audio live as well. Gary has been kind enough to make that available. And the class is with Gary and Christopher Hughes. And they both are amazing. I'm going for it and I'm so looking forward to it. And what else? And what else can you choose? What if you're willing to be Right Voice for You? Any which ways. So everything that doesn't allow that. And it's like a daily ask, you know. It's like like we were just, this class showed up and we said yes, no. If we create it, what would that create? If we don't create it, what would that create? Yes. And then I asked, okay, who can be the host? And I mean, never thought of it before. Audrish popped. So I said, will you be the host? And he's like, what would that create? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, cool. Yes. So we have no idea what's it going to create. But so what if, so it doesn't matter how, if you were to willing to look beyond the right and wrong, good and bad, and just choice is just a choice, yes or no, and then see what that creates, and then see what is, you can then choose from there. Okay, cool, this is creating this, I can choose more of this. Okay, who else can I add? What else can I add to my life? It's playful.
Awesome.
That's what right voice for you is. If you were being right voice for you, would your life be a drudgery, slogging, getting past, getting through, or would it be fun every single day, every single moment?
Yep. Awesome. People, anything else you would like to know? Would you like to know about the challenge that Ina was talking about? Ina, what's the challenge that
Just voice it. I've shared the links if anyone wants to join. You can find on FB as Facebook as well. Called you can search for Just Voice It. So just voice it, people. What do you know that nobody else does?
awesome.
There's so many things like would you be willing to surprise yourself with?
Great. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. And Ina's doing her class on the 16th, 17th, 18th of March in Delhi. If anyone wants to join us, you come on board, hop on board, and you can.
You'll find it on www.inabasu.com.
Yes, please.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us, whether it was night for you or daytime or evening. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you so much, Ina.
thank you, Puneet, for joining.
Bye, guys.
Cool. Bye.
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 Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, Priyanka. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.